This is a video chart presentation of KULR Technology Group, brought to you by allpennystocks.com. Today's Tuesday, December 29th, and we're specifically taking a look at KULR because on Monday, see the stock made a real nice move. Closed up about 71%, hitting a high at 240 before closing at 212. And it did so on a huge spike in volume, about 1.3 million shares traded. In today's trading on Tuesday, stock gave back part of those gains. See, it closed down about 22.5%, which isn't a terribly big surprise. People want to secure some profits. What we're looking for going forward here is a support level right there around $1.50 to stay intact. You can see primarily that was a tough area of resistance for KULR as part of what we're seeing as an upward trend developing, particularly since KULR made its high of 370 back in June and then consolidated all the way back to around 77-75 cents. And now what we see happening is a pattern of higher lows, and what this chart really needed to do was break through that resistance point to come through and make a higher high to ultimately develop something along these lines. And you can see how it's almost a little uncanny, how those two lines are almost parallel with each other. It's often what you see in an upward trend. So things were looking pretty prime for KULR when they held this area of support here around $1.20, $1.15, held the trend line, made the bigger move, and established this higher high. Now in the course of this uptrend developing, we're looking for new support levels. And of course, classic TA says that once resistance is broken, it becomes support. And that's exactly what we saw happen today. As some profit taking set in, the $1.50 level attracted more buyers and bought the stock back up to close the day at $1.64. So quickly, what we look for going forward is for key support points. Should there be a deeper pullback, we see those right there at $1.30. And then, of course, this bottom trend I just mentioned, which tying that in with static support would actually be about $1.20. It's also worth noting 50 and 200-day moving averages are aligned together, both around $1.31. They've been pretty much moving sideways now for several months. And this upward push right here will get them turning upwards, which technicians will take note as a bullish sign anytime longer moving averages, which will serve as dynamic support, are trending upward. On the resistance side of things, we certainly have to go back to this recent high in September at $1.88. See, that actually ties in with a little bit of support going back here in June and July. We'd call that a secondary resistance point. I think a more important spot to watch going forward will be right around this 214 mark. You can see that served as some resistance so far with just trading on Monday and Tuesday. And I'd suspect that if it can break above that, there's a good chance that we see a candle along those lines or some smaller ones leading up to a breakout of this upward channel, as KULR once again looks to probably test the low to mid $3 range. And then if that happens, we'll look for some of these resistance points to flip into support. If the chart to do some pullbacks and establish some new higher lows, which quite possibly could start to take on the look of a big cup and handle pattern, but we won't know that for many more months to come. Right now, the immediate future holds watching support levels be maintained and for key breakouts above these resistance levels to indicate this upward trend is going to continue. Right now, nice setup, great move, and we're not the least bit concerned about this little sell-off. Now we're looking for the next leg up. So let's keep an eye out for what this chart has in store and trade smart.